Well, good morning. It's Taco Tuesday. I see Heathen74 made it in. Girl, where you been? I've missed you. Elaine's here. Joanne Lane's here. Diana made it in. Chrissy, my girl, what's up? NC Mountain Girl. Our girl Susan. Always here with a smile. Joy K, what is up? GB, what up? Cat's Hodgepodgery, love that name. Rumor on the street is that OJ's not a real Bombay cat. Not my words, someone else's. Think I need to take him back to the vet. Maybe they need to look him over again. Maybe he's a she. You never know. So how is your weather? We have had this cool snap to the point where it's almost a little chilly for Brooks's old bones in the morning. Yes. By the way, the fake Bombay has a new trick. Yes, he knows tricks. He goes to the back door, and we have one of those doors, instead of like the knob you turn, it's, like the one that you just push down. See if I can figure out how to describe it better. You just push it down and you get out. Okay, so he puts his left fake Bombay paw on the door, and he takes his right Timu Bombay paw, and he sits there and he messes with the latch trying to get outside. It's like watching the velociraptors in Jurassic Park. Remember when the scene was when they turned the knob? Yes, that's what my oldies version of a Bombay cat does. But no, we have had this cool snap. Whew. No wonder I've been stopped up for days. I want to first off thank you to our girl TCB for making the thumbnail. My Bazaart wasn't working that day, and I was going to do this show last Friday. But I was behind on the birthday planning I had for DT Driver. Look at this. Rexy! We have been friends for over 2 years, Rexy. I love you so much, Rexy. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much that means to me. Thank you again, TCB. Thank you, Rexy. Fake Bombay, get down, please. Fake Bombay, get down. We need big prayers. Big prayers today. For one, for JTB. She had a death in her family. Her father-in-law passed away. And Dawn, grandma of 3, she's in hospice care. She has cancer, and the cancer she has, there's no cure for it. There is no cure for it. She's spending this time with her family, talking to friends, and every now and then she pops in and watches with us. So we have a lot going on, and as friends, that's what we do. Well, I know where it is not a cool snap, and that is if you are flying Southwest Airlines. This morning on the news, they said they've been having to take planes. They're having to land them early, okay? Because it's hot, I guess, in the cabin. I don't know what the hell's going on here. But the pop cans are exploding. I don't know about all of you, but if I was sitting on an airplane going anywhere and I heard a pop can explode, fuck, you better get me a parachute. You've got to be kidding me. TCB said, my mama is flying out with them for my aunt's funeral tonight. Tell her not to ask for a pop. Bloody Mary only. Okay, vodka does not blow up. Love you, TCB, and I'm very sorry about your aunt. Good morning, Jinbug. Let's take a second and tell everyone happy Taco Tuesday. Same here, Nani. She said I'd have a heart attack if I heard a soda can pop while I was in flight. Me too. Could you imagine? So many people after 9/11 wouldn't fly at all. Now, I was the dum-dum 2 weeks, and trust me, I've got better stories than this one. 2 weeks after 9/11, when people were starting to fly again, I flew down to Baton Rouge. Cullen Baton Rouge. That's for Gaelic. Garth Brooks is her man. Flew down to Baton Rouge for business. Flew back the next morning. It was like me and 3 other people on the whole flight. Straight from Tulsa to Dallas to Baton Rouge. And I mean, nobody was on that plane. And we wouldn't even look at each other. But of course, nobody else wanted to do it. So they decided to sacrifice me. All right, let's talk. Alexi Traviso. We have talked about Alexi for a long time. We haven't had an update in a long time, though. And I understand there's not a lot of current discussion with her case, but as you know, we follow everything to the end. Her defense attorney wants her confession thrown out because he's saying it's not a true confession. I'm really hoping they don't get their way. Hold on one second. Kimberly Mann needs a late slip. Aggie is in charge of those. Aggie, can you please write Kimberly Mann a late slip? Sorry, but that's hilarious. That was a good one. She concealed the death of her baby. She did. She wrapped him in plastic. She put trash on top of him. She just assumed they were going to pick up the trash, put it in the incinerator, and nobody would know she was pregnant. Alexi Traviso, baby autopsy report. The autopsy revealed that the newborn, he had no physical abnormalities or injuries at birth. It was observed that air was present in the lungs and stomach, suggesting that the baby was likely born alive after a full 38 weeks of pregnancy. The autopsy indicated that the baby might have suffocated. Eyewitness testimony that the bag that was around his little beautiful face, chubby cheeks, little button nose, it was sucked against his mouth. You know why? Because he was trying to live. Now, according to Alexi, she had no idea she was pregnant. She had gained a ton of weight from eating at McDonald's. Does that look like a Big Mac in her belly, my friends? Please look at that picture. Does that look like a Big Mac? I would call that a baby, and she's carrying high. Angel P said, heck no. Mary says that I call BS. This is her cheerleading. Does this look like a Big Mac in her belly? No. No. I'm going to assume after the, what's the right word? I'll just say death for YouTube's sake. After the death of her son, she continued to eat McDonald's, and here she is at the prom. Where did the Big Mac go? Look at this picture. Where did the Big Mac go? Guess where the Big Mac went? Into the trash can. That's where the Big Mac went. And I'm telling you, everyone knew she was pregnant. Let's go to your comments, and we're going to get to the latest updates. I put a community post up today asking all of you, what do you think should happen to Alexi? Ashley Green said death penalty for sure. Ooh, boy. I'm not familiar with death penalty in New Mexico. Does anyone know? Anyone? Jinbug's just a state over. She's in Arizona. Anyone know if they have death penalty there? I'm just going to guess that won't happen to her. Sicilian Mina said she wants her burned at the stake. Oh, okay. Lena Jams said, I don't think she's cold-blooded. I think there is a lot of dysfunction that stems from her mother. In my opinion, they both knew she was pregnant, but didn't address it. Her mother totally gives me Carrie vibes. In my opinion, she should serve around 25 years. That's exactly what I'm thinking too. Thank you, Lena. True Crime Beat said locked up for 25 years. We know there's a lot going on there. Wendy's wanting justice. Damn, Wendy. All right, let's start with this. This is the latest.
Now for what's trending true crime, a status hearing next week could determine what evidence can be used against a young woman accused of killing her newborn baby. Alexi Traviso was only 19 years old when she had a baby in a hospital in New Mexico. Now, the baby boy was found dead in a bathroom trash can. And we want to show you the video that her defense attorney doesn't want the jury to see.
All right, this is really important, okay? Really important. Canadianist said mothers should be held accountable also. Well, if she was 15 or 16, I could see it happening, but being 19 years old, I don't think they're going to do anything to the mom. But Alexi, she's got a lot going on here. Butterfly kisses. Welcome back to the fam, as if you were ever gone. We love you, Butterfly Kisses. Now watch what she says. Their whole argument is she was never read her Miranda rights, but she wasn't under arrest. You see, if you say something to a police officer, they can still use it. But the one that doesn't want it used, of course, is her defense attorney. Defense attorneys do what defense attorneys do. Of course, her defense attorney has always reminded me of Colonel Sanders. Look at this.
Well, as tasty and delicious as it ever was. I'm Colonel Sanders, and I'm back, America. I'm back, America. It's still finger-licking good.
In it, Traviso is seen and heard talking to police on body camera footage, and this is after the baby was found in the trash can in the bathroom. Now, her attorney says that this video violates HIPAA laws.
She put the baby in the trash can, and then she put another clean liner over the top of it. Okay. So when they looked in there, there was no trash in there, but it was underneath the clean bag. The baby's dead. Okay, we have him in trauma too, but she killed the kid.
Yeah. How old was the baby?
I don't know, it's full term.
Okay, right there. A trained medical professional is telling the police she killed the kid. She killed the kid. Now, there definitely was intent to conceal, for real. We can easily see that. You know, what Alexi and her mama and Mr. Boyfriend, who, by the way, is not cooperating with this investigation. He's going to have to at some point because they will subpoena him. They will get a warrant for his DNA, the whole 9 yards. Because the last that we know is they had a DNA request that went to Mr. Boyfriend. You know, the prom date. Please accept this letter as a formal request of the FBI for DNA analysis, specifically to determine maternity and paternity. The Artesia Police Department is requesting the assistance of the FBI in Roswell for the processing of DNA evidence from a homicide case. Alexi, when your baby is born alive and has no abnormalities and winds up in a trash can, it's a homicide. Okay? On January 27th, 2023, within the city limits of Artesia, New Mexico, and which is being investigated by Artesia Police Department. The DNA samples were obtained from the service of a search warrant on the suspect's person for DNA and from a blood card of the victim's blood obtained during the autopsy and turned over as evidence. I gotta move my glasses and rub my eye. I got some in my eye. Give me a second. As evidence to the Artesia Police Department. This case involves the alleged homicide of a newborn child, resulting in significant impacts on the community. The expected social and personal implications of the case throughout not only Artesia, but the entire surrounding area make it vital that the highest quality of evidence processing is conducted as expeditially as possible. There is currently a backlog and new rules for DNA processing at the State of New Mexico Crime Lab that prevent us from requesting their services at this time. All right, we get back to Mr. Boyfriend. Detective Gonzalez, February 9th, 2023, contacted Devin Fierro on his personal phone. I advised Devin I would like to interview him about the incident on January 27th, 2023. Devin said he would call me back as he was in school at the moment. I left him my phone number. Detective Gonzalez called again, February 16th. He contacted him. He said I hadn't heard from him. Devin advised he did not want to speak with me at this time. I asked him to keep my number in case he wanted to at a later date. Either way, they had enough evidence. They didn't need Mr. Boyfriend to say a damn thing. No. But it would have helped. And what man? Let's just pretend Mr. Boyfriend's a real man. Okay? Let's just pretend he is. Why on earth would you take homegirl to the prom after your son was put in a trash can? Why would you even think to continue that relationship unless between everyone in your unit, someone encouraged this? I don't know.
So the judge sided with the defense team on this to not show it to the jury, but the prosecution is appealing. So we're wondering, how should the appellate court rule on this? Should they reverse the decision? Let's bring in our power panel now. Still with me, former special agent with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Trebor Randall, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown, and trial attorney and law professor Dante Mills. Great to see you all. Dante, would you start off our conversation for us, please? Your thoughts on who's right here?
I think the court got it right. Good morning, everybody. In these types of cases, there's constitutional protections that everyone has. And during the course of investigation, no matter what that investigation is, you have to do things the right way. So what the prosecution is arguing here is kind of they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. So there's two protections that should have been here. One is a HIPAA protection that violates your health privacy. And the other is the protection against being interrogated against your will without being given your rights. The prosecution is saying that they kind of canceled each other out, that the doctor was in the room. So the interrogation wasn't just the police, and the police was in the room. So her comments to the doctor are not protected by HIPAA and the health.
I would think not. I would think not. She's talking to her doctor. To her doctor. And what she said, we had a question. I'll put a playlist together and I'll post it for everyone to go through everything. There was a lot of questions. There was blood splattered all over the wall in that bathroom. All over the wall. Flushing, 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 flushing. Paper towels, paper towels, paper towels. There was a lot going on in that bathroom. They were going to break into it. They were going to break into it. Now, for her to cut the cord, some people have speculated that, when you get the paper towel and there's that tooth-looking thing, that metal tooth-looking thing. But it turns out it was her teeth. Her teeth. She's sick.
Health privacy violations. So I don't think you should be allowed to do that. The judge said that those things crossed over, but they don't cancel each other out. I think that's the right decision. And I think the appellate court should uphold that ruling and say, if you're going to interrogate, you have to make sure you follow those rules. Isolate the person, give them their rights. And if they decide to speak with other people around, that's one thing, but you can't cloud the situation and try and use that for your benefit.
Appreciate it, Dante. And let's take it a step further. I really appreciate what you said about if the police didn't get it right. Trebor, this is where I want to go to you, please.
Someone in here must know something more about this than Dante. Because here's the thing, Dante. If she voluntarily gave these statements to the doctor with police in the room, how is that inadmissible? Now, if what I read is correct, you never know. The Supreme Court of New Mexico is going to hear this. Look at that. Flickery Afoot. What a cool name. She was in the hospital. Why didn't she just have it and give it up? I'm confused. Girl, that's the $1 million question. Who wants to be a millionaire? Phone a friend. I know. You're right there in the hospital. There would have been no need to call law enforcement if she, in that bathroom, had pulled the cord and gotten help. She could have handed her little boy right over, her little baby boy over to a nurse and say, I don't want it. I don't want it. They would have taken him to the nursery and he would have been adopted and alive. Yeah, absolutely. He'd be 2 years old in January, walking. talking, eating those little goldfish crackers. But she made this choice with her mama down the hall.
What could they have done better in your view here?
Well, I would have to agree with them. The rules still apply. If you're going to do questioning of an individual regarding a crime, you definitely need to take that into consideration. What does the environment look like? Is that individual free to leave? Who's present during the questioning? Typically, our test as law enforcement is going to be, was it custodial? Custodial questioning, that's usually the 2-tier, but there's still an issue that we take up. Is the person going to be free to leave after they tell me what it is they're about to tell me? So you have to be thinking about all of that at the onset of that initial.
Look who came in, our girl Angel P. And this case gets her so mad because she has worked in healthcare for years upon years upon years. They're suing the hospital. They're suing the hospital for negligence because they gave her morphine. Are you there, my friend Angel P?
I'm here, girl, and you're right. This makes me so furious. It hits very close to home.
Now, as a registered nurse, what do you think about this lawsuit against the hospital? Because I know you have to carry certain insurance being a nurse. She can personally sue these nurses and doctors, even though she put her baby in the trash can. This all comes down to morphine they gave her for pain, and you go, because you know and I don't.
Well, we all know that it's very common. It's like common practice to give morphine to someone if they're in labor, okay? Like even if at the time, in my opinion, they weren't quite sure that she was pregnant, you know, how it all played out. But okay, let's say they knew she was pregnant and they gave her morphine. Whoop-de-doo. People have morphine all the time, and the amount of morphine was not, it was the appropriate amount, the appropriate range. Even babies in the NICU get morphine. So that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I had morphine. All 3 of my kids. I had Demerol.
Yeah.
I had it all. I couldn't have a epidural. Who
Yeah.
was given morphine when they were presented at the ER? I mean, don't dox yourself for anything. La Mala said they gave me some in labor, but that's their biggest bitch right now. Also, that she didn't know she was pregnant. Who in here didn't feel their baby kick when you were pregnant? Of course we did. I looked like Sigourney Weaver in Alien. People would see my babies kicking around in my stomach. They'd be like, what the hell's going on? Oh, that's just my baby kicking. Yeah.
Right.
I think he hit my lungs. They all knew. They all knew.
People at school knew. People at school knew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised she was able to cheer like that. That is a major liability.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter was in cheerleading. They're so strict. I don't understand. You've got this manipulative, immature girl, in my opinion, who comes in with back pain, not being honest with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they didn't even she was not very cooperative with really even letting them examine her appropriately. Denied being pregnant, lied about it. And then her mother's just taken the whole thing and made a big fiasco of it.
Mm-hmm.
And no responsibility. That's what her mother has. I don't know what she's taught this child. but there's no accountability, there's no responsibility. And how dare they blame the hospital and the nurses? How dare they?
Nurses, when they presented to the ER for back pain, you cannot tell me that her mama this whole time thought this was a Big Mac in her belly.
That's ridiculous.
You cannot tell me that she did not notice her abdomen distended, getting bigger and bigger. And as they're getting closer to January 27th, that the belly was dropping closer and closer to the pelvic floor.
Mm-hmm.
Everything changes when we're pregnant. We know that. Never go. They're all full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
I get so sick of that with these girls. I really do. Like that Skylar Richardson. Nani, thank you. Big Macs don't kick and move around.
That's right.
They don't. No way. So how should the court rule on the appeal? There you go, Bonafide. And her boobs getting bigger too. Yeah.
Well, I hope and pray that they allow this to come in, because as far as I'm concerned, her behaviors, everything that she did, being evasive, not being truthful, not letting them examine her well, lying to her mother, at least it looked that way. I'm not sure about that mom. Being in a hospital, which is a place that you can have that baby, turn around, give it to somebody, then go back. Mother didn't even have to know to stop her from doing that. It just infuriates me. It infuriates me that they turn around and blame the people that are there to help them.
That's what makes me so mad too. Like you said, they're blaming the people that are there to help them. And you want to sue the hospital? And it's not like Alexi's the only child in the family. Somebody else in the family, the stepfather, the other siblings, had to notice she's only gaining weight in one place, and that's her belly.
Right? She had that boyfriend. You know her mom's not that naive.
Nope. They're talking about back pain, constipation, acid reflux. They go to the ER, and I don't know how nurses can tell how bad a pain someone is in, because I know in 2014, I was doubled over. I had a tumor on my ovary with hormones, and they knew right away I wasn't playing no one's fiddle. I was in pain. They had an IV in me, and they said she's not responding to pain medicine. Obviously, you can fill us in on this. So they know she's in serious pain, but she denied being pregnant. This is my back. For whatever reason, I'm constipated all the time. Then she's holding her ass, running down the hall. She was crowning.
There she was. You know, and morphine, despite it having a bad rap, when given in appropriate dosages, it's the quickest acting, most effective, safest medication to give to many people, not only in labor, but in all kinds of, pain situations, suspected heart attacks, and the way we tell is that I'm sure everybody's been to either a hospital, a clinic, or a doctor. You've hurt yourself in some way, and they have that pain scale. It has all the little faces on it. And they'll say, and unfortunately, this part's based upon what the patient tells you. So you're going to say to them, on a scale of 1 to 10, what number is your pain right now? Okay, so they give us an answer. Now, the nursing standard is that if somebody has a 4 or higher, then you want to medicate that patient for pain. But ways that you can tell if that patient is in pain, because obviously we all know there are drug seekers. is you check their vital signs. You watch their behavior. You can see facial grimacing, restlessness, increased pulse, sweating, all these things. Because you'll go in sometimes and somebody will be laying there reading a book and they'll be like, God, I'm hurting so bad, I can't stand it. And what number is it? It's a 10, and you're like, okay, vital signs are good. Laying there eating, pom-poms or whatever you want to call them. So sometimes, it's obvious. But yeah, that's how we try to find out, especially in dementia patients. We have a pain scale that we would use for them because so many of them are nonverbal. And so it would actually have a number system for kind of grading someone's behavior, if there's any facial grimacing, restlessness, that kind of thing. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. Because like when I was in the hospital and they did surgery that night, like at 11:30, and they had to take out that whole ovary. I mean, they cut me all the way across my abdomen because they couldn't get it out any other way. Took out the whole ovary and everything. I'm an empty shell of a woman, Angel. I'm an empty shell of a woman. I'm telling you. Hang on, GB. So the hospital didn't run labs. Pregnancy should have popped up in her blood work. It did. But she was in the bathroom.
Yes.
She was in the bathroom. They were going to confront her with this when she got done going to poop. She goes back to the bed, acting like nothing's going on, and then they find the baby in the trash can.
I don't think if the housekeepers, I really don't think she would have said a word. I don't know. I just don't think she would have said a word if the housekeepers hadn't went in there and found what they found. That's just my opinion.
She would have had them take the IV out, and she would have gone straight home. Little did she know she still had a placenta inside of her and had to be life flighted out to another hospital. And then the investigation started. I promise I should have done it this morning. I'm a dum-dum. I will put together a playlist. But this pisses me off so much that they're trying to throw out what she said. And what she said was, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. It wasn't crying.
Keyword it.
It wasn't crying. Her mother said, what did you do to it? We're going to talk about it in a second. Here we go.
She'll contact that initial question and answer segment.
Appreciate it, Trebor. And last but certainly not least, Michael J. Brown, let me go to you here in what, if anything, these prosecutors can potentially do here, because part of what they want to establish is they want to try to show the jury that she knew that she was pregnant, that she knew prior to this and wasn't telling her family or anyone, and knew what occurred when she was in the hospital bathroom. How do you think they may go about that if the court does what Dante expects the court to do, upholding that trial court ruling?
It's going to be difficult, Julie. I think what they're going to have to be able to establish is on prior occasions, maybe she bought certain things from a pharmacy or she went to doctor visits and there was some indication that she was pregnant. But going back to the issue, I think the professor hit it on the head. Public policy mandates and requires and expects that you're honest and forthright with your treating doctor, regardless of who is in the room. That's why it's protected. And the analogy I would give is when you go up to the triage nurse, even though there may be a gentleman standing next to you who's unrelated to the case, you're still protected because the law wants you to be able to be honest and forthright so that the doctor or the treating medical personnel can treat you appropriately. So I think the government's argument is going to fail. And I do think this is a HIPAA-protected situation.
Michael, appreciate that.
Okay, this is going to get my girl real upset. I kind of see what Cue Ball there is saying. I kind of see what he's saying. Anything you tell your doctor is protected. They can't use it against you. But we're talking about homicide.
Yes. Now, being a nurse for 40 years, you have to do your annual review every year, which is basically your fire safety, HIPAA, protecting patient information. They create hypothetical situations, whether you could or could not release information. But let me tell you this, when there is danger of harm or self-harm, even on a psychiatric unit, which has many layers of things to get through when you want information, you are allowed to disclose certain information that is needed to address the situation that they have in front of them. Does that make sense?
100%. Now,
Okay.
as a nurse, and let's say you're put in charge of taking care of Alexi, and you come in to take care of her, and she said, I have back pain, and you can tell she's in pain, but I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant. Just had my period. I take the pill. I'm a virgin, whatever. Then what do you do? Because they're really going hard after this hospital. She told friends, like Marisay said, she told her friends she was pregnant. They are witnesses.
Well, whenever somebody of childbearing age, or even any woman, is admitted to a hospital, when you go to see a new doctor, when you go to have an x-ray, they always say, is there any chance you can be pregnant? Is there any chance you can be pregnant? Now, at this point, when you're filling out this information, I don't know if she filled it out or her mother, there's a nurse going to actually stand in there with a computer and ask her questions to get her admitted. And sometimes in the ER, that'll happen in triage. But if they asked her, are you pregnant? Is there any way you could be pregnant? No. Okay. So she's not being honest. Then let's go to the room. Okay. So she's complaining of back pain. So they're going to give her a little medication, appropriate dose, because she's in severe pain, apparently. And it's automatic that on a woman of childbearing age like this, that's just a standard thing that you're going to draw a serum pregnancy test. Even if they said no, you're going to draw a serum pregnancy test because you have to cover yourself that way. Okay. So now I'm different because I worked in psychiatric nursing for so long. So me, myself, and I would have been suspicious, and I think perhaps they were. I'll tell you what they did know. They knew that she was not being forthcoming.
Mhm.
They knew that she was not telling the truth. And they knew, you can't force somebody to say, well, let me look at your abdomen. Let me do a pelvic exam. Patients have the right to say, no, I don't want to change clothes. No, I don't want to do that. I just want to fix my back pain and go home. So in my mind, everything that she did from the moment she came in there was dishonest,
Right.
and showed her consciousness of guilt. I mean, the fact that she put the baby in a plastic bag, I don't know, maybe rung it around like men do bread bags and don't put the twister back on,
Right.
tucked it up under the baby, put it in the bottom of the trash can, then put another bag on top of that and various paper towels. She knew that was a baby. She knew what she was doing.
She knew it. She was at the ER. She has felt the baby kick. She named the baby. She told other people that she was pregnant. They all knew. They all knew. Kimberly Mann said she is 100% responsible for her actions. At 19, she is responsible. Listen, if she was at a high school football game and this happened in the bathroom, that would be a different scenario altogether. But she's at the hospital. There's a cord right in front of her. Pull it. They'll be right there. For real. And she is an adult.
Now let's take things a step further and look at the civil case together. So she's got the criminal case, but then also Alexi Traviso is suing the hospital. And what she's maintaining is that the drugs that she was given are what killed the baby. She's saying that she didn't know she was pregnant. We found a TikTok video of her cheerleading. And take a look in the video. She appears to be pregnant in the video. This video has drawn a lot of speculation, a lot of comments, a lot of people watching her case closely are saying, how could she not know? But her lawyer is saying she didn't know.
You see that? I don't think Juniper, I'll put a playlist together, Juniper, and we can go through more. She told her friends she was pregnant. She had already named the baby. For some reason, she knew she was having a boy because she named the baby Alex. But she made the wrong decision at the hospital. Now, because she's pretty and she's young, does not excuse murder, homicide, whatever you want to call it. That is just my opinion. But this now suing the hospital, I'm going to tell you something right now. We don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough good nurses. We don't have enough CNAs like Daisy since she retired and started a channel. We don't have that shit anymore. And this is one of the reasons. Insurance and lawsuits. Somebody leaves a tool in you after they take your appendix out, sue away, and you should. How do we bring Daisy back? Daisy could cure all this.
You know, again, she could have asked. There's a gigantic emergency call cord in bathrooms. Okay, call for help. You can't tell me that. My understanding is that, you know, with her school studies, I don't know. I had heard that she was very smart with her book studies. You can't tell me that she did not. I mean, come on. You would pull the cord. You would pull the cord if something like that happened to you.
And with medical malpractice, it's, and you know, because I mean, I'm not saying that you've been sued, but you've worked in hospitals that have lawsuits going on, and it's a layered cake. They start with the hospital, and then if they win there, then they go up and up and up and up. And these malpractice attorneys, they will dig into the doctor's life. They'll dig into everything. And there has been many suits where they have sued him personally. I don't see this one going that way. And a civil suit is the stupidest thing she could do. Stupid. Yeah. Is stupidest a word? Is stupidest a word?
It can be. Yes, ma'am. It can be for this.
Stupidest.
And you know, when a hospital and or staff of the hospital gets sued, they do have attorneys, obviously, that represent everybody. But we were always taught as nurses to carry our own malpractice insurance because, unfortunately, in some cases, you know, the hospital will drop you like a rock if it gets them off. So you have to have your own malpractice insurance, which is not that expensive and has very good benefits. And, you know, there's a nursing shortage. There has been for a long time. A lot of people are around my age that are nurses, and they're going to retire out of the system like I have. Right. And, you know, somebody that normally speaking, someone we know, not included, but normally speaking, people go into nursing and healthcare to help people, to serve others. We're not mind readers. We don't have x-ray eyes. We have to work with the patients. The patients have to be upfront and honest with us. And she wasn't. And to think that because of her bad decisions and bad behavior, they would turn around and try to pin this on people that work at least 12 hours sometimes and don't even have time to take lunch, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water. You know, nobody goes into nursing to do harm to anybody. That's not the way it is. And it completely infuriates me because you're talking about, well, you know, I've seen various things as a nurse because I've worked in different areas. But those nurses, that housekeeper, they're all going to be so traumatized by this. I mean, I would be traumatized by this. Yes.
They already are. Now, you said something really important when she presented. I'm going to go back to what I was talking about with the civil suit because you just rang a bell in my brain, and that's hard to do some days. So you present to the ER and you lie about being pregnant. You basically say you can't poop, you have back pain. However, they're suing the hospital. Now, if this goes to a civil suit, she's toast.
I agree.
No way, because she'll have no choice but to testify. And I mean none. So when they ask her and they bring up all her high school friends that say, yeah, she said she was pregnant. That's the reason she was eating all the McDonald's. She told me she was naming the baby Alex. Whether it's a boy or a girl, the baby's name's going to be Alex. But the minute she lied to them, that presents the problem. I hope the civil suit, and TCB might disagree with me on this. I don't know. We've gone back and forth about this case for, oh gosh, almost 2 years, right, TCB? I said, I almost hope that the civil suit goes forward before the criminal suit, because that's going to make the criminal case much easier for the prosecution. They won't need her confession sitting there in the bed saying it wasn't crying, and her mother saying, what did you do to it? It wasn't crying.
Right.
I was scared. Civil suits are totally different. And I would love to know what made her do that. And, the jails are full of mentally ill people. They're full of people with bad childhoods. They're full of people that are in recovery. They're full of them. Full to the brim. Full. So none of the excuses are going to work. But I've got an excuse to take a break, because I'll tell you something right now. Look at DJ. She just gifted 10 Crime Lines and Lines memberships.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Girl, y'all get your umbrellas. Come on. You can get them. Besides this little baby boy being put in the trash can, I think I'm more pissed about the civil suit. After putting that staff through that type of trauma, want to add that type of insult to injury.
Yes, and we want our patients. Each patient has an individualized treatment plan based upon their presentation, their symptoms, and we want them to be an active participant in their care. Well, you cannot be an active participant if you're not being honest.
Mm-mm.
And it just burns me up to the point that I'm not tooting the horn here, but I would love to be an expert witness, because I would let them have it. I'm just furious over it.
Well, it's infuriating, because this could cost someone's job when her and her mama went there and lied. It's irresponsible, it's immoral, and on top of that, it's illegal.
Oh, and it's the hospital staff's fault for killing the baby by giving her medications like morphine. And the lawyer is saying that there's civil liability the hospital has here because they didn't pregnancy test her before administering the medications. There she is in the middle of the screen there. All right, so what liability, if any, civilly does the hospital have? Back to our power panel. Michael J. Brown, would you start us off this time with your thoughts on the civil case, please?
Julie, I think what also has come out, in addition to what you just said, is that the hospital determined fairly quickly that she was pregnant and continued to administer the morphine and the additional drugs. So while when she comes in and they're doing the morphine and they're treating her alleged back condition may be perfectly fine for medical standards, the minute they become aware that she is in fact pregnant from their testing, and they continue to administer these pretty significant drugs that, hey, look, if you have an expert that comes in and says that contributed to the death of the baby, then yeah, I think these trained experts are certainly on the hook for not cutting it off once they became aware that she was in fact pregnant.
A great point, Michael. Trebor, to you next, please. Your thoughts on that video evidence and whether you think the hospital bears any responsibility here.
I think, as we know, the civil situation is always different from a criminal trial. I think that the hospital certainly is going to bear.
Okay, I want to talk about this. So what Cue Ball is saying is that they continued to give her the morphine even after they knew she was pregnant. Now, they did not confront her with telling her she was pregnant. They did not confront her mom, which they shouldn't do because she's 19. Of course, why would you not continue administering morphine?
There's no reason to. And let me tell you something. That baby in that bag, there was moisture in that bag, okay, that indicated that that child was breathing or attempting to breathe at one point. So to me, that cancels out that whole argument. I mean, I can understand a defense attorney taking that posture, but it really doesn't, what am I trying to say? It really doesn't affect the baby in the way that they are saying. Morphine acts quickly. I'm sure it was given through the IV. It also, when given through the IV, has a short lifespan or a short time of effect. And so it's not uncommon to give morphine, minute amounts of it, every 3 hours, every 2 hours, every 4 hours, whatever the doctor orders. There's not any nurse that's going to do something, in my opinion, that a doctor has ordered them to do. If they have a problem with it, they're not, that you don't go ahead and do it. You ask the doctor, you clarify. That's what a good nurse does. If they're concerned about any order the doctor gives them, they do not have to carry it out. This is a medical standard, in my opinion, that is being taken and blown way out of proportion. And I totally disagree with that whole position.
To get her out of jail. To get her out of jail. That's what it is. And the autopsy is suffocation, lack of oxygen, not morphine.
Right.
The housekeeper even talked about that the plastic bag was around his little face and he was trying to breathe.
Yes.
Now that tells me all I need to know. And she knew something was wrong because she said that the trash was extra heavy. She's used to in that bathroom picking up paper towels. Maybe, somebody put, something else in there. I don't know, like a water cup, I don't know. And normally, but this was heavy. This baby was 7 pounds.
For some responsibility based on the timing that they knew they had gotten the results that she was pregnant and what their actions were after that. They didn't approach her with it. I believe the nurse wanted to wait on the doctor, for example. They continued to administer the morphine, allowed her to go to the restroom after she mentioned needing to use the bathroom, which most, moms know that that's oftentimes a signal that the baby is about to come out. So I think that there's going to be a lot of question there as to what they knew, when they knew it, and what they could have done, but mostly a question for the medical examiner as it relates to the amount of morphine that would be in the baby's blood, and would that be a lethal amount, and whether or not it was a fetal demise versus, a healthy delivery, which we may or may not ever know.
Good points, Trebor. When you said medical examiner, my ears perked right up. I'm thinking, can't the forensic pathologist, who examined the baby give us some answers here? Dante Mills, take us home if you would, please. Your thoughts on the civil case and whether the hospital is in trouble.
I think it's very interesting that what will be used in a civil case kind of strengthens the criminal case. So if the hospital was trying to show, or the prosecutors are trying to show that she should have known she was pregnant, that there were clear signs that her baby bump was there, all of those things would then translate to the medical professionals who should have recognized that as well. And even if she came in and told them she was only experiencing back pain, if they're going to give her morphine, there has to be some other questions and evaluations that are done. And if it was so obvious that she was pregnant, they should have recognized it. Now, there's some other evidence, though, that suggests that she knew she was pregnant. Some of her friends said that she talked about it, that she, in fact, even named the baby, said she was going to name him Alex. So there's questions here about how long the mother knew, but the facility should have known and picked it up during the process, at least, of treating her with morphine. It is clear the medical examiner said that the baby was born with air in the lungs, which indicate that it wasn't a stillbirth. But was it morphine that does have the impact of causing difficulty in breathing for a newborn? And that's ultimately why the baby died? Or was it strangulation, which is what the prosecutors are saying happened here in this case?
All great points to think about. We've got to leave it there. Dante Mills, Trebor Randall, Michael J. Brown, thank you for the great discussion on.
Well, that just makes me mad.
Makes me mad too. And, you know, I see what Dante is saying now. I didn't earlier in it. Good morning, Ilyanka. Snow said the baby was gasping for air. Yes, he was.
And I don't know about you guys, but I have never seen morphine. One of the side effects being lying, being covering up your baby in the trash can, being running to the bathroom. I mean, when this girl showed up, she was getting ready to deliver, okay? You know, morphine does not, in my opinion, justify her behavior. That has nothing to do with what she did.
And let's not forget, she spent the night with Mr. Boyfriend the night before. She was at his house and he was rubbing her back and everything. Let me tell you what, this girl was in serious pain. And I mean serious pain. I don't know, your 27th baby. It hurts. I mean, it hurts. And when this civil suit goes through, if they get to it before the criminal suit, I don't know how the trial docket is going. She's supposed to be going to trial in August, but I don't know how that's going to work. Where is TCB? She go away? But they're going to ask him. Okay, TCB had a call. They're going to talk to him about the night before and everything like that. They're going to talk to him.
Yes.
I mean, they were all sitting in the waiting room for her back pain. Let me tell you what, no one is going to be in the ER sitting around having a family vigil for me if I'm in the hospital for back pain and constipation. But they're all sitting out there. They're like cats, fake Bombay cats on a hot tin roof. They all nervous as can be, like, what's going on? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? But this is the story. She's sticking to it. She didn't know she was pregnant. It came out and it wasn't crying. Now look at this.
New video of a cheerleader who secretly gave birth in a hospital and then, according to authorities, left her baby to die in a garbage can. She claims she didn't know she was pregnant and panicked. But as Amber Cogliano reports, many say looking at this video of her with her squad, she had to know she was expecting.
It's dramatic, just released body cam video of cops arresting a teenage cheerleader for allegedly murdering her newborn baby while her mom questions cops.
What is she under arrest for?
She has a warrant for arrest. Okay?
For what?
That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay?
What do you mean that's all you're going to tell me?
19-year-old Alexi Traviso appears calm as she packs a small bag of personal items before being taken.
Look at her belly. Look at the screen. There's no Big Mac in that belly. She didn't know she was pregnant. There she is at a pep rally. Says that the weight gain was from McDonald's. Her and Mr. Boyfriend like to eat Big Macs. So there's the Big Mac in November of 2022. There's the Big Mac in May of 2023 when she's getting arrested. You've got to be kidding me. You lying bitch. Not you, Ange.
I know.
Taken from her home. But her mom is distraught as she watches her daughter being handcuffed by cops. Cops say she left her baby boy in the trash in a hospital bathroom.
We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom. Oh my gosh. That's very freaking out. I didn't know what to do.
Alexi says she had no idea she was pregnant and went to the ER for back pain. But is that believable? Check out this video of Alexi performing on her high school cheerleading squad less than 3 weeks before she gave birth. Cops say that's a baby bump showing and she must have known she was pregnant. I spoke with her defense attorney, Gary Mitchell.
Goodness, look at him. Look at this attorney.
It's Colonel Sanders' ghost.
Look at Colonel Sanders up there. Nicey Marie said now she's going to sue McDonald's for eating Big Macs that made her pregnant. Girl!
Right?
I'm sorry. That was good.
That's a good one.
My God. But he looks like Colonel Sanders' ghost. Look at that. Look at this. And now watch this.
Well, as tasty and delicious as it ever was. I'm Colonel Sanders. And I'm back, America. I'm back, America. It's still finger-licking good.
Look at that. My goodness. Suing McDonald's because the Big Macs got her pregnant. Way to go, Nice.
Gary Mitchell. In the video, she clearly has a baby bump. How can she say she didn't know she was pregnant?
That's what she thought. She thought she wasn't pregnant because she's still having her monthly cycle, and that's a big issue.
Gary, you don't think she looks pregnant in that video?
I don't make a judgment on that, and I can't make a judgment on that.
This body cam video shows the somber moment cops talk to Alexi's boyfriend, Devin Fierro, in a hospital waiting room.
You are more than likely would be the father? Okay.
Alexi is free on $100,000 bail.
Alexi Traviso has pled not guilty to first-degree murder.
Not guilty to first-degree murder. You've got to be kidding me. Now let's go through, if y'all have time, what she said when she was confronted. We already know about the autopsy. We know about the toxicology. There was actually no morphine in the baby's system. Go
there
figure.
You go.
Like you said, it's a short life. It's a short life. But this is what she said when she was confronted. Now, you guys are going to pick up on some pronouns. You're going to pick them up. And I don't mean the ones that they tell us on the news to use all the time. Not those pronouns. It wasn't crying. Her mother's going to say, "What did you do to it?" Flickery Foot said, "I'm so mad right now." Damn right we're mad. Damn right we're mad.
I mean, could you imagine going to work and as a nurse and or a housekeeper or whatever, and you're traumatized by this, and you go home and you're like, well, I'm being sued because that girl went in the bathroom and didn't do the right thing. I mean, I know it's not that simple, but still, could you imagine losing your livelihood and everything else because of these people? And her mother is the master manipulator teacher, in my opinion.
And on top of that, and on top of all of that, they life-flighted her to another hospital to save her life. They already knew what she did. They already knew what she did. They put her baby boy in the trash can. And they could have easily been like, okay, go ahead and take her back home. The police will deal with it. No. This doctor right here said, we have to get her out of here. We have to get her out of here because she needs other care.
Yeah, she could bleed to death.
She would have bled to death.
Baby in the bathroom. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. He came out and I didn't know.
Lexi, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
It was not crying or nothing.
I was scared. It was not crying or nothing. Her mom goes, I asked you to tell me the truth.
A 19-year-old woman who allegedly killed her newborn son by stuffing him in a hospital trash can is released from jail on $100,000 bond ahead of her high school graduation.
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months?
Nothing was crying.
Officials say.
Are you guys picking up on the words? Nothing was crying, but she's crying. But she's crying.
Yeah, because she thinks she's going to get in trouble with her mother.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this. How many times have you had a child, a sister, a friend be pregnant, and just out of the blue, you say, hey, let me talk to you about these girls that have these babies and hide them in the woods or throw them in the garbage. You know, that's just not normal. When she says, what did I tell you? I mean, that's weird.
Super weird. That's not a talk that a mother has with her daughter. No way. You don't say, hey, listen, if you get pregnant and you have the baby somewhere, don't go and bury it. Don't kill it. No, you say, if there's an issue. Now, mama here, she's the one that takes care of the groceries, the tampons, sanitary napkins, whatever you want to call it. Did she not notice for a good 9 months that she wasn't going through many women's products?
Exactly. And like I said before, when my daughter was in high school, I did a majority of her laundry because she was involved in that cheerleading and their activities. And, you have to wear different clothing even. So, I mean, I don't see how somebody could be that naive about it.
No.
I mean, the whole reason that her mother said that just weirded me out. Like, it makes me feel like she already knew she was pregnant. I don't know.
I cannot get all this denial because as a grown woman, okay, I can't say that Alexi's a grown woman, but her mom, who, by the way, is one shiesty bitch. She really is. I mean, she's done a lot in her life. She knows how to lie to people.
Oh, yeah.
But for her to think that a human being, a baby, is just going to go away, no. And for the attorney to say, well, she was still having her monthly cycle, so we're going to take Alexi's word for it. No, spotting is not a monthly cycle. GB Folk, and this is what upsets me to no end in these cases. I'm not going to bring anybody else up in the chat about this. She says, for a woman who always wanted to be a mother and can't have children, this breaks my heart more than you will ever know. And that's how I would be too.
Mm-hmm. Just the basic disregard for the value of human life did not occur from the medical staff. It occurred from this little girl right here, this 19-year-old girl, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she's saying, this is from eating at McDonald's, too many Big Macs. But after putting the baby in the trash can, look at her. She goes to prom. There's her.
Yeah. That's infuriating. That just proves that she didn't give a shit. Excuse my language.
She didn't care.
Uh-uh.
She did not care. Listen to her again. Just listen to what she says.
We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. He came out and he didn't know.
Lexi, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
It was not crying or nothing.
A 19-year-old woman who allegedly killed her newborn son by stuffing him in a hospital trash can is released from jail on $100,000 bond ahead of her high school graduation.
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What?
She says, how big is the baby? Now, she saw her daughter's belly. She saw her daughter's belly. She had to have noticed when her daughter came out of the bathroom, her belly didn't look like that anymore. How big was the baby? Full term. Full term. Now watch her mom. I tell you what, her mom makes me so mad.
9 months?
Nothing was crying.
Officials say Alexi Traviso went to an Artesia, New Mexico hospital in late December complaining of severe back pain. Disturbing body camera footage from January 27th shows hospital staff speaking with officers after a newborn was found inside the bloody bathroom Traviso had just used.
The baby's dead. Okay, we have him in trauma too, but she killed the kid.
The newborn baby died, and Traviso was charged with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence. But just this week, Traviso was released from custody on $100,000 bond. Court documents show Traviso will be allowed to attend her high school graduation on May 25th. She'll be required to follow a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. curfew, but will not have to wear an ankle monitor or be placed on house arrest. She'll also be allowed to leave the state of New Mexico and visit family in Texas unsupervised. Defense attorney Charles Ritkers tells Law and Crime Network those stipulations are not unusual.
I don't think that there's anything surprising or unusual about it. Number one, she should be considered innocent until proven guilty, one. Number two, and more importantly, as far as deciding whether to give her a lower bond or what have you, she's not a flight risk. She's a 19-year-old girl. Unless she's an heiress to some fortune where she can flee the country or whatever, but I'm sure that the court, if that were the case, would have probably confiscated any kind of passport, which is standard. So I don't think she's a flight risk. The whole purpose of bond is to make sure that someone shows up in court. And probably $100,000 in this situation is more than adequate to make sure that she shows up.
Ritkers may be most known for representing Brooke Schuyler Richardson, the Ohio woman accused of murdering her newborn baby and burying her in her parents' backyard when she was 17. At trial in 2019, Richardson was found not guilty on all charges except abusing a corpse.
And I just wanted to say how sorry I was. I can sometimes be selfish, but I would like to think that I've become better in the knowledge that I've upset everyone.
And let me tell you about her. She put out 40 job applications because part of her probation is she has to have a job. 40. Nobody in Carlisle, Ohio would give her a job. She went to the prom. She came home. She had a baby. Like it's that easy. She kept saying she was having period cramps. She went outside and she buried her baby. Okay? Now, they couldn't prove it because of the way that the cord broke away. They're saying her baby possibly could have been stillborn by the way the cord was broken away. I don't understand all that. There's a difference between a healthy cord and obviously one that, breaks off like a piece of wood. That's what they said in the trial. She works now for her defense attorney.
Oh my God.
She is a secretary for her defense attorneys. Yep. Selfish, selfish, selfish. And I'm telling you something right now. These young men, if you do adult things, you pay adult consequences. They need to have these young men sitting right there with them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you liked her playing with your little pecker, so you're not just going to serve her up
Mm-hmm.
and sit back and go to college and go on with your life. You're going to be right here too. Because
And why should she? And why should? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Why should she get to go to her prom? Why should she get to go scooting about and seeing, what college she wants to go to? She's just acting like nothing ever happened. And unfortunately, in my opinion, her mother is so entitled. And the fact that they got to release her, let her go around, do this, do that, go to her prom like it was nothing, I really hate that because that kind of feels like they won on that one little issue, that they got their way. And I don't agree with that at all. I mean, there used to be a time where when teenagers or young adults got in trouble, if they didn't get in trouble anywhere else, they got in trouble at home. So I wouldn't be picking out my daughter a prom dress after all this happened. That wouldn't be going on.
And you're exactly right. The time I grew up in, hell, neighbors could whip your butt and say, you don't do that. You don't do it.
It's like rewarding bad behavior.
Well, with the culture that we have right now, babies are not respected. They're not looked at as what's the word they use all the time? We hear viable.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of people leave comments saying, well, if she had been able to have an abortion, who said she didn't have? Who said she couldn't get one? Who said she couldn't do any of that? Who said that she couldn't? That's up to the state you live in.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that the Supreme Court said this goes to the states. So I don't know what's going on in New Mexico, but I know that if you carry a baby to full term and you don't want it, take it to the fire station.
My God, she was in a place she could have handed it over to.
She could have handed it right. She could have handed it right over. Using her term, she could have handed that little baby over to the housekeeper and said, don't tell anyone.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say one more thing because I just have to get it out of my system. This mother and daughter are extremely enmeshed.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me that Miss Rosa didn't know what was going on. I don't believe it.
Bingo, sister. She knew. And that's the reason she was so defensive. So defensive.
And hurt so many people with what I've done. And I'm forever sorry. And I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
She's still scarred by the whole thing. There's no question about it. And for the longest time while the case was pending, she was locked up. And, everybody's thinking the worst.
She should have been locked up. Brooke Skylar Richardson should have been locked up. And Alexi should still be locked up. And there's another girl in New Mexico. She gave birth to a baby and she threw it in the trash. Jinbug said, girl, please. You don't look sorry. Jinbug, and she thinks Alexi's going to get away with this. And I hate to say it, but I agree. I agree. Because we have a society and we have people that know how to pick juries, and they do not respect the life of babies. They don't. And I'm not going to be surprised. And I was so pissed about this case with Skylar Richardson. Pissed about the case in Nebraska, where a was 5 months pregnant and her mom gave her a bunch of stuff so she could miscarry. Well, this little 2-pound baby comes out and they burn it and they buried it.
Oh my God.
And so they each got 3 years probation. What about our most vulnerable? See, and that's the reason with these missing kids cases we talk about, you name it. It's just not the priority that we need to have. It's ridiculous.
Of her, and it took a while. I think it took a while for her to really trust us, and she opened up, and it was great. And it was like it was good of it for her to open up and know that we were 100% behind her. There was a plea bargain offered, and she was very brave in turning it down and said, "I did not kill my baby," and she did. There's no question about that.
In Richardson's case, Ritgers says expert witnesses for the defense helped secure her near complete acquittal. That, along with an inaccurate narrative that she burned her baby's corpse, he says, was perpetuated by the state.
The forensic anthropologist advised the forensic pathologist that she was wrong, that the reason she thought that the baby had been burned was because the bones were wet and dark. But upon further examination, if the bones dried out, there's no evidence of burning whatsoever. So it was just, and the state dug their heels. They continued that narrative, which was awful for our client because it made her look like a demon. And until we were able to present the evidence to a jury, Warren County, by the way, Warren County, very conservative county.
By the way, real quick, if you are watching on Facebook, you can't watch on Facebook anymore. Obviously, if you're watching on Facebook, you'll have to go to YouTube to see this because the show got reported to Facebook. And so they shut the show down on Facebook. Just loving life lately. Just loving it. But that's okay.
And jury who is very pro-life. I think 9 out of our 12 members of the jury were very pro-life people. And I only say that because in case your audience may think we had a liberal, who gives a damn about children. But to make a long story short, once they heard the evidence, it was science. That's what won the case for us.
In Traviso's case, Ritgers says expert witnesses will be vital. While Traviso argued she did not hear her baby crying after birth, an autopsy from the Office of the Medical Investigator showed the baby's death was not consistent with a stillbirth, finding he had air in his lungs. Ritgers says this fact will be important for the defense to consider.
It depends on the science. And the number one thing that stuck out to me is the autopsy report where the pathologist claims that he or she, I don't know whether it's a he or she, found air in the baby's lungs, which they claim would indicate a live birth. It's going to depend a lot on that finding, number one.
Ritgers says Traviso's attorney should be prepared to find experts of their own.
If they're experienced trial lawyers, they probably already know that a lot of this is going to boil down to the actual path report, the autopsy. And they'll need an expert on their own to determine whether or not there really was air in the lungs, whether that really means that the baby was born alive. We don't know whether there was any other signs of trauma to the baby. So I don't know if our case would be that helpful, other than they do need some experts.
If Rickers were to represent Traviso, he tells us he would begin with gathering background information.
I would want to know all the background on the young lady, whether she has.
I can help you, you idiot. Let's get back to Alexi. Okay, I can help you. Super, super easy. She already knew she was pregnant. She had named her baby. She had told friends at school she was pregnant. It was obvious from her cheerleading and everything that she was pregnant. They've got everything from the morphine defense to the McDonald's defense. Everything. Everything. She has got more people to blame except for her and her actions in that bathroom. Mr. Boyd is sitting outside in the waiting room. There is no way he didn't know she was pregnant.
And his mother, right? His mother was there too.
His mother too. Now, I'll say this about the mamas that are probably living in denial. Mr. Boyfriend here, you can't tell me from April of 2022 to January of 2023, Mr. Boyfriend and Alexi weren't doing the Humpty Dance. He had to notice. I guarantee she just didn't have the crotch cut out of her sweats. Okay? You tell me they weren't naked together. You cannot tell me he did not know that she was gaining weight in certain areas.
Right.
He knew her belly was getting bigger. He knew her boobs were getting bigger, and I guarantee he liked that. I don't know about everyone else, but like in your 8th month, you start having some leakage, in your boobs. And they obviously were naked around each other. So yes, he knew. Damn sure knew when they were laying in his bedroom the night before and he was rubbing her back. At some point, her water broke because it didn't break at the hospital.
Yeah. I wonder if it broke at the boyfriend's house where she was before, the night before.
That's what I wonder myself. Yep, that's what I wonder myself.
And she's, even though she's 19 and considered an adult, she's still, she's very, very young.
Rickers believes if Traviso receives some sort of mental health diagnosis, there's a possibility her charges could be altered.
It could be helpful in getting a reduced charge, something less than murder, like involuntary homicide or negligent homicide, something like that, which are lesser offenses and carry less time in prison.
Traviso's representing attorney has argued she should not face a murder charge, saying, quote, "This isn't a classic child abuse case." He also pointed out Traviso has no criminal record.
Well, that's a good thing. It's a good thing, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. There's a lot more to go into this than just the fact that she's never been in trouble.
But it may be the body camera video following the birth of Traviso's baby that's highlighted most in court.
In terms, I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, you do have to have the police involved.
And that thing was crying. It came out with nothing.
I know. But the baby's gonna have to be taken for autopsy and there'll be an investigation.
Traviso can be heard on the video saying she's scared.
Where did you put the baby at? Tell me the truth. In there.
517-836-460.
That came out in the toilet bag. You put it in the bag?
Yes.
In what bag? Why did you say anything to us? Do you want to get in trouble for this now? You could get in trouble for this.
Mom, just give it time, okay?
She also repeatedly says the baby was not crying.
Lexi, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
Why are you calling, again, back to the words, why is her mom calling Alexi baby? but calling her grandson an it. Alexi, I just asked you, baby, to tell me. Tell me the truth, baby. Tell me the truth, baby. But your grandson's in a trash can. And you call him an it.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry, but if I were on the jury, not even being a nurse, if I were on the jury and I heard that dumb McDonald's defense, and then what was the other one? McDonald's defense. Huh?
It's M&M, and I don't mean the rapper. M&M, morphine.
Right. Right. Well, that does not explain or justify her being so dumb. And I'm sorry that she has a baby and she put it in the trash can. That was her decision, period.
Right. And the cheerleading coach is damn sure going to be on that, in this trial, because she reached out to Rosa, and said, we noticed she's gaining weight. We noticed she's gaining weight in one particular area. Guess what good old Rosa said? Don't fat shame her. I tell you what, these people with this fat shaming, homophobia, racism, let me tell you what, there are people out there that are just nasty like that. When someone is truly concerned, saying, listen, she's on the cheerleading squad and I can tell she's gaining weight in one particular area. I'm not saying her thighs and everything else is getting bigger. Fat shaming. Son of a bitch.
Was not crying or nothing. What did you do to it?
Rickers believes this may work in Traviso's favor as defense.
Rickers is stupid because you hear her mom right here. What did you do to it? As she's sitting at her bedside saying, Alexi, baby, what did you do to it? Since when are babies its? Wouldn't you say, what did you do to the baby?
Exactly. And you know, this sets a horrible precedent for these young girls to continue to do the same thing if there's not ever going to be any consequences. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is her grandchild.
Defense attorneys could argue she believes the baby was stillborn, but medical staff on the scene told investigators the baby was full term.
We did a pregnancy test on her, showed positive. She was denying that she had sex. Then she said she had to go to the bathroom. She went to the bathroom. She was in there for quite a while. We kept knocking on the door. Finally, we got her to open the door, and there was blood and shit everywhere. She was cleaning it up. Okay. So we took her back to the room, and I was afraid that she knew she was pregnant. She had done something to herself. So the doctor started doing a vaginal exam on her. We had the lady come to clean the bathroom. She put the baby in the trash can, and then she put another clean liner over the top of it. Oh, wow. Okay. So when they looked in there, there was no trash in there, but it was underneath the clean bag. The baby's dead. Okay, we have him in trauma too, but she killed the kid.
Yeah, how old was the baby?
I don't know. It's full term. She just had it. She had it in the bathroom. Was what happened, and then whatever she did, I don't know. She's gonna lie. She wouldn't tell us she's pregnant. She's been lying the whole time. Okay. So that's what's going on.
Video also shows Traviso's mother referencing a.
Let's talk about this. She's been lying the whole time. She wouldn't even tell us she was pregnant. She's been lying the whole time. She killed the kid, he said. She killed the baby. She put the baby into a plastic bag, put another liner over on top of him. And I tell you what, Mom here, if Alexi was under 18, would have a lot of culpability. She would. She would have a lot. But she did this, and she has to pay for it. They're not going to haul in Mr. Boyfriend, which I think they should, but they won't. They're not going to haul in the mom. I wish they would, but they won't because she's an adult. If you can serve in the military and you can go to college and you can get a job and you can drive a car and you can do everything on your own, then you should know when you see a head full of hair coming out of you and it's trying to breathe, it's a baby, you dum-dum.
Shockingly similar case in the same state.
Lexi, have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail?
In New Mexico, a teenager faces attempted murder charges after police say she gave birth and left her newborn in a dumpster after wrapping.
And there's too many of these stories. And you can't tell me in 2024, young girls can tell their parents that they want to become boys or vice versa. But you can't tell your parents that you've been having sex and you might be pregnant. It makes no sense.
No sense at all. No sense at all.
None.
Talk about selfish. Ugh.
Yeah. It's when something doesn't entitle them. It's when something doesn't get them the attention they want. It's when something doesn't add to their day. When there's not an extra cookie on their plate. The right thing inconveniences them.
Well, and we know that the mother has a legal history as well.
Mm-hmm.
And was she or was she not able to finagle her way out of those charges?
I'm sure she paid a fine or something like that, but I just kind of believe there's no way she could ignore the changes in her daughter's body.
No way.
Well, you all, this has been a great show, and I'm so glad that you were here for an update about Alexi Traviso. I hope that the state of New Mexico sets a precedent that we don't do this to our babies.
That's right.
We don't do it.
It's got to stop. I mean, it's madness. It's got to stop.
Mm-hmm. Like Britt said, she threw that baby away alive and then tried to clean it all up. She damn sure did.
Yep.
She had time. This is a girl that wouldn't even help her mom take out the trash, but she tried to clean that bathroom, did she not?
Yes.
The state of New Mexico needs to set the precedent. I want to say thank you to Walking Dead, member for 11 months, Rexy. Actually over 2 years, Rexy. Angela K, member for 14 months. Butterfly, my girl. She said, love my CLL family, sending love. DJ, again, thank you for the 10 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. And I missed this one. Kimberly, man, girlfriend, thank you so much. Making it rain here at the end. You guys are the absolute best, and I want a huge round of applause for our girl, Angel P. You guys
Thank you for having me up.
Oh, girlfriend, anytime. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for being here. We have 2 shows tomorrow. Yes, we do. We have one in the morning and one in the afternoon. If I can twist Kat's arm. Do you mind doing Kat's accent for me real quick?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, like I did this morning.
Yes, that was hilarious.
I don't even remember what I said. We're so glad that you all came today, and we really hope that you'll be here tomorrow, not just for the morning show, but also for the afternoon show.
All right, you all. I'll see you back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Sharp. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you guys.